Welcome to Next Shift with Rick Wagen. Suzuki does not suck. Today we're going to talk about the top 3 forward lines that I see. Who's going to play with who? I'm back on the dock train on this episode of Next Shift.
Slafkovski score! Petrie once again. Goal! With another save. Laine hooks and scores! Goes after it now. He's in. He scores!
Hi again, this is Rick Wagen. We're going to talk about the different forward lines. I've highlighted some names and some orders that I think are going to be interesting. You have Suzuki playing with Caulfield and Slafkovski, Bolduc playing with Dach and Demidov, Newhook playing with Evans and Laine. Let me talk a little bit about why I think this is going to work out. Now, I believe that Slafkovski and Bolduc are interchangeable. Obviously, Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slafkovski had a great season last year, 5-on-5. I think they're going to get the first shot at playing together. Slafkovski needs to have a good first half. That's been his challenge so far in his career. But I think he learned a lot last year at the second half of the year and in the playoffs. Slafkovski has to come out and play like a Kachuk brother. And if he does that and plays a hard-nosed power forward position, he'll stay in that role. That being said, Bolduc, Dach, and Demidov interest me for multiple reasons. One, faceoffs. Dach is a challenge on faceoffs. And from that perspective, he will have the opportunity to take faceoffs on the right side. And then Bolduc will take faceoffs on the left side. He's more of a 200-foot player. I trust Demidov. I know he's only 19 years old, but he's a smart kid. He's going to learn how to play defensive hockey, and putting that line together instead of Laine for Bolduc will make it a more well-rounded forward line. The third line I see Laine and Newhook playing with Evans. You can have Evans in there taking the faceoffs, playing a strong defensive game, backing up Laine and Newhook, who are still working on their 200-foot game. I think Newhook has improved, but that's where I think he'll fit. Obviously, you have Gallagher and Anderson remaining with a different center, whether it's Foligno or it could be with Kapanen or Beck. It could be interesting to see who fights and wins that battle. We've talked a lot about that. So like I was saying, I think Slafkovski is going to get his shot. If not, I think I've said this before, Bolduc could slide into that first line. Bolduc is a hard-nosed forward. He works hard, fast, has an elite shot. Probably the second or third best shot on the forward lines if you include Caulfield and Laine. He's somewhere in that range. He may not be a Laine shot, but it's a pretty heavy shot, and obviously has great speed. Checks, is a good strong forechecker, and so he could play on the first line. And if you recall in the playoffs in the last couple of games, Slafkovski had a few shifts with Demidov, and I think there's a lot of chemistry there. And a couple of years ago, Slafkovski was playing with Dach, and there was chemistry there. So I'm still very optimistic about Dach. Obviously, the Canadiens are still looking for a second-line center. But if he can turn out and play the kind of hockey that Dach can bring to the table, and he's covered well enough on the defensive side, I think that will be huge. Again, Evans is a solid forward, obviously a great defensive 200-foot forward. I think his offense is underrated, and therefore having him play with Newhook and Laine could be very interesting. He will cover up for some of the mistakes and issues that Laine has from a defensive perspective. And I still believe that Laine, who has scored 40 goals in the NHL before, is super motivated in his last year of his contract to have another great year. And playing with a Newhook and Evans on the third line could make the Montreal Canadiens extremely strong. And think about what I'm saying here. Anderson and Gallagher are on the fourth line. And again, that doesn't mean it's a fourth line. I really do believe the Montreal Canadiens' third and fourth lines are going to be interchangeable. And ultimately, if you're down to the last couple of minutes of the game and you need a more defensive structure, you can switch all these lines up and play a different type of lineup, whether you bring in Evans with Anderson and Gallagher, or you bring Suzuki down to some of those lines in the last couple of minutes. I'm not overly concerned about how you match the lines at the end of the game, but from a perspective of the main 5-on-5 action, I like these lines. I think this is where it's going to start. This is going to be a fun preseason. This is a season where there are 4 or 5 players vying for 1 or 2 spots. These guys will all make the team, which is why I kind of put them on there. Obviously, Anderson and Gallagher will make the team as well. But for that last spot, I mean, we had Kapanen, who looked really good. You had Roy, who had some good things happen the year before last. And apparently he's lost 15 pounds and has been working with a trainer to get super strong and fast. He feels like he's coming in extremely fast, and that's his weakness, right? His weakness has always been skating, and so we'll see how that works out. If he can come in and have a great camp, he has a chance. I've always liked Owen Beck. Owen Beck is a player a lot like Evans with a little bit more offensive upside. He is an elite face-off guy. Now, he hasn't really proven it in the pros yet, but when he was in junior and playing for Team Canada, he would take draws. He's in the 60% range in that level. Some people don't know this, but he actually, at least then, would switch hands. So he would take face-offs on the right side with a right shot, and then he would switch. He would take the face-off on the left side. Ambidextrous when it comes to face-offs, and I think that's a huge value. That's where I think he might have a chance. If there's one weakness, the biggest weakness I see on this team is face-offs, because from a penalty killing perspective, you have a lot of good defensemen. Obviously, you lost Savard, but Dobson can step in, and I think you're going to be fine on the defensive side of the puck. But on the offensive side, you've lost both Armia and you lost Dvorak, and Dvorak's faceoffs were key. If Beck can slide in and play some penalty killing, that's a huge value. I'm not sure if Kapanen can do that. I'm not sure if Laine could do that. However, obviously those players could maybe bring a little bit more offense, but do you really need offense in the third and fourth lines? That being said, I'm excited about the season. We're 2 weeks away from training camp. It's September 3rd. Very exciting times. The rookies jump on the ice in a week and a half, and they'll be playing in their prospect tournament, and that should be fun to watch as well. Can't wait for the season to start. Obviously, there could still be a trade. Lots of talk about the Carey Price contract. Lots of talk about a second line center, but really exciting time. Looking forward to the season. I'm sure you all are too. I'll be on the show after games, talking about the games, talking about the players. Please comment where you can. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit like if you like this video, and obviously looking forward to the season. That's it for next shift. Suzuki does not suck. Talk to you guys soon.
Slafkovski scores! Petrie puts that sing it, go! Goal! With another save. Laine hooks it, scores!